Jacob Zuma will later this week meet with local organizations across a range of sectors, as well as those representing asylum seekers and refugees regarding the country's migration policy in the light of the ongoing xenophobic attacks. The president has also established an Inter-Ministerial Committee to look at all aspects of migration. The chairperson of the African Diaspora Forum, Marc Gbaffou, joins us in the studio. A very good evening to you and thank you for coming through. Now, in your view, what more could have been done since 2008 to quell the xenophobic attacks?
Well, we are all singing education. Education, education, education. Without education, you cannot do anything. We will be singing that until that is done. And also, again, we must educate the people about the rest of the continent. Because education is not just throwing few things in the curricula and then leave it to the learners. Take the education, but take the people themselves out of the rest of the continent. Let them discover what they didn't see because of the history of the country. Let them know that. So, exchanging some programs between institutions out of the country will help a lot. People who left the country, people who went out of South Africa, South Africans that I know who went out of the country, when you're talking about them, they tell you what they experienced when they were out of the country, and which is great. And that's, I think, it should be part of education.
Okay, so I understand what you're saying about education, but the time right now, the situation is tense. What do we do right now to stop the killings, the violence, and the ongoing tension?
We are very happy that the whole South Africa is now standing up to say no to this violence. In fact, on Thursday, all social movements, churches, youth movement, people are coming together to have a very big march. We're talking about 20 to 30,000 people will be marching in Johannesburg to show their sympathy with the rest of the continent, to embrace the Africans who are living here, the migrants who are living here, to say we are one.
Speculation has been rife as to what is the actual underlying causes of the xenophobic violence that we're seeing now. It's a resurgence from 2008. What do you think is actually causing the situation to be as it is?
Well, for few years, we've been making some stereotypes concerning migrants. When talking about migrant and migration, we're talking about people who are invading the country and people who are undesirable. So this contributed a lot to what is happening now. There are so many migrants who are positively contributing in this country, but the few migrants who unfortunately sometimes find themselves in crime are used to tarnish the whole image of who is a migrant in South Africa. And that's the only thing that we say we don't want. We want migrant and migration to be portrayed as positive as possible. Because a lot of migrants don't like crime. They want to combat crime, in fact. So let us change that image. And talking about policy, hope the policy is not going to be tougher. Since before even talking about policy, we heard that, no, we must tighten the policy on immigration. Doesn't help. Why maybe government doesn't go down to some immigration laws which are working very well. Somebody was talking to me about Ivory Coast. I'm going to tell you about Congo, about Angola. We have few incidents, but the incidents wherever we have them in the continent, it wasn't that violent as what is happening here. You can say, no, we don't want this, but going to touch people is not what we want. And we are saying that it is a problem in Africa. Let us push it to AU. Let them decide of what do we do, because for sure there are some wars in some countries. So definitely South Africa will be receiving some migrants here. There are some economic reasons. Definitely South Africa will be receiving some migrants here. And South Africa itself is out there to Africa and to the rest of the world. So South Africa will not be able to isolate itself. So let the policy to work. Let people, when going to Home Affairs, let them get the papers, because currently the Home Affairs is flooded by people, but they don't get the paper. At the same time, we are accusing them not being legal. So if the system doesn't produce the paper, people will definitely be illegal. If you don't have the papers from Home Affairs, you won't be able to open a bank account. You won't be able to register to pay your tax, and then you are illegal. If the system works properly, all this will be an easy problem.
So you think Home Affairs, if they are able to expedite the process of bringing in the migrants when they arrive here and giving them documentation and policing that properly, it will help the situation?
Yeah.
What do you make about what the ANC Secretary General Gwede Mantashe said about a week ago about having transit camps for people that enter South Africa?
We didn't agree with him, and we don't agree with that. It's easy, because when he's talking about that, he's thinking about the refugees and asylum seekers probably, but we're talking about migrants broadly. You take the refugees, you put them in a camp. Those who came to the country legally to work or for some studies, they came here. He won't put them there. So they're also migrants. So it is a problem. And here currently what migrants are asking is not for government to provide them with work. Migrants, I don't think that that's what they're looking for. They're looking for the permit to be legal in the country. Instead of accusing and blaming them, let government give them the papers that they need to live here. Migrants open their businesses. It's well known that a migrant comes, he wants to make a survival. He wants to survive, he'll make sure that he got his papers. He opened his small businesses for survival. Maybe he came here for studies, but he's not going to ask government. That's why we don't agree that government migrants are stealing jobs, because South Africa has one of the toughest labor law in the world. We know that. So currently when they say migrants are stealing the job, we are asking ourselves which job, because migrants are not working in government institutions. Maybe few of them, but not the majority of them. And we are asking government to assist on producing the correct number of people who are in the country. Because the perception is that we don't know, we are invaded. But I can say that because I'm on the street, but government should be able to tell with correct numbers of people who are in the country. We should know how much percentage of people, migrants, are in the country compared to the population of South Africa. Currently, we cannot. Many times, we as the African Diaspora Forum, we went to Home Affairs department, the Department of Home Affairs. We wanted to know how many migrants are in the country. Officials don't know this. You'll see some reports, people who are working on migration, sometimes they're giving you some figures, but we cannot rely on that. We want government to produce the numbers, because otherwise people think that there are so many migrants, we are invaded by migrants, and it is a speculation, and everyone is working on that. We want to know the correct numbers.
Thank you very much for your time. We're going to have to leave it there. That was Chairperson of the African Diaspora Forum, Marc Gbaffou. He was joining us in the studio talking to us about the current situation that is gripping South Africa.